Hi, everybody. It's Elektra Yao, artist visa lawyer, located here in New York. I today want to talk to you about what happened today in a consultation. Hi, everybody that is on Instagram. So oftentimes people will come into a consultation, and I like this actually because it gives us room for discussion. We'll come into a consultation kind of, having already talked to friends, maybe family. This consultation in particular today talked to two other attorneys and kind of just had some stuff mixed up, right? There were some, there was baseline information to have like a conversation about what this person wanted to do. But I mean, kind of things that are mixed up. And I think that it's worth highlighting something that is not commonly known about O1s, especially because it's something that can be helpful specifically for folks who are located abroad. So, one of the things that is critical for an O1 or any US based work visa is the presentation or the proof of future work that you're going to be doing in the US within the petition, right? This is true for H1Bs, and this is especially true for O1s, right? You need to prove that you're going to be doing something, that you're going to be working, that people want to work with you, et cetera, et cetera. So this is sometimes misunderstood because a lot of times people will say, oh, but all I need is an agent. Well, the agent, as I say all the time, is the vehicle, is the conduit, right, to allow you to work for multiple people, places, and things. The agent is separate from future work. Future work is oftentimes misunderstood as only coming from US based companies. So oftentimes people will think, hey, well, I don't have a company that wants to work with me, or I work for myself, or I'm a freelancer, or whatever it is. And they'll just say, like, I don't qualify, or, I'm not able to meet this criterion or this requirement of the O1. So just want to talk about future work because I had to clarify this for the consultation. And that's exactly why you have a consultation, to kind of clarify misunderstandings or lack of knowledge, or to get a more holistic picture of what the law is. And sometimes you have consultations because you want strategy. In this person's particular case, they wanted clarification about the law and how that applied to them with regards to future work. So client or potential client was talking about, like, hey, I'm located abroad. I don't have contacts of companies or projects or collaborators that are based in the US. So the first part of this person's analysis was correct, right? You need obviously future work that can be based in the US, that can be companies based in the US, projects based in the US, or individuals hiring you that are based in the US. Yes, you can be hired by an individual. What illuminated this client or this potential client today was the knowledge that I gave this individual that it can be future international non-US based companies, projects, or people that are hiring this individual to do work in the US. So you can execute, or you need to execute the work within the US, but the request for work or the desire to have you execute that work can come from an international non-US based company, or international non-US based project, or international non-US based individual. So let's illustrate this together. This client in particular is an influencer. So this client's working in a country in Europe. This client or potential client is getting brand deals from different international brands that are based in this person's country of origin. And this person, it was unsure if this person could continue these collaborations based in the US while this person was working within the US. And the answer is yes. You can absolutely have international companies or projects or individuals that want to hire you. Now, that's like the baseline, right? Then you get into the nuance of, for example, what type of projects, what type of companies, what is the reputation of the individual. These are all factors that are analyzed while you are working on the petition. But just so that you know, when you are negotiating or networking or talking to people or trying to figure out like what your journey is on this O1 path, you can absolutely use international companies, projects, people, places, things, whatever it is. They don't necessarily need to be a US based LLC, corporation, project. It can be, and most of the time it actually is. Most of the time you will have the US based company or project hire you to do the work because they're just more accustomed to, for example, the clauses that are included in these offer agreements, these work contracts, whereas maybe a European company, an Asian company that is not familiar with US immigration law, employment law, might be a little bit more skeptical about confirming in writing the desire to want to execute a project with you or to have you execute, lead, develop a project on their behalf. Not impossible. It's very, very frequent to have international work included within the petition. And I will say, I'll give an example of a client who had a lot of international work. This client was we called her like a multidisciplinary artist because she was doing a bunch of things. She was creating art, but she was also curating art. So doing both and wanted to be able to do both. This is another misconception. You can have multiple professional titles within the petition, whether they are strict, right? ACDP director, or if it's more like, vague, multifaceted, like multidisciplinary artist. So in this client particular petition, I included all of her international residencies that she was doing that were scheduled throughout her O1 validity period, in addition to her US-based work. So this was an interesting case because she had US-based work being executed in the US and then also international work being executed outside of the US. And all of this was elaborated and discussed within the itinerary, of course, with the contracts and everything. So you can have that as well. It really just depends on how entrepreneurial you are, how aggressive you are. Aggressive in the sense that what different types of work are you willing to seek out and include within your petition. You don't want to be somebody who, and it happens all the time. Like you come to the attorney at the last minute, and you're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know if I'm going to get future work. It's a very, very common scenario. It's something that happens all the time. This is the reason why we have rush cases, to be able to accommodate these types of situations. But in this particular client's case, while she was on OPT, she was actually making all of those applications for the international residencies while simultaneously networking in the US for US-based work, curatorial work, and also gallery type work. So this was an interesting case because we were looking at different consignment agreements that we were drafting. So, additional scope of representation. So consignment agreements, gallery agreements, etc. So that was a particular type of case, but the analysis, right, is very similar, right? You can have international, non-US based companies, projects, people, places, things within the petition. It's not something that is strange, or it's not something that is a violation at all. So yeah, I wanted to talk to you about this consultation and why it's so important to kind of get clarifying information, because I was the third attorney that this person had seen. So this means that the previous two attorneys did not necessarily explain thoroughly, what the client's or potential client's concerns were, or maybe did not explicate, clearly what was going on. Or it could be simply that, the client misunderstood. This is why when we have our consultations, I have my consultation booklet. So it's essentially like I'm presenting the fees, I'm presenting the law. And then if you give me your CV, I will apply it. I will apply the law to your case, and then you get that after the call. That's for you to keep, for you to kind of analyze and look at on your own time. So I think that that's helpful for a lot of clients. It certainly was helpful for this client or potential client to kind of discuss different work possibilities, because that is always one of the most difficult parts of the petition, right? Securing the future work, having people commit in writing of their desire to want to engage your artistic services. A lot of people will always say, like, yeah, of course I want to work together. Let's do A, B, and C together. But sometimes they might not take that affirmative, active step to actually sign the agreement that is drafted by me for the petition. So hopefully this was helpful, especially for you guys who are located abroad, right? Right now it's almost 6 a.m. in Europe. So if you guys are in Europe or wherever you are, and you're thinking about the O1 and you're thinking about, who could potentially be my future work, just know that you can use international companies. Not a violation, totally common. We do it all the time. And it's something that I would say adds a lot of depth and nuance to your professional profile, especially because if you're able to demonstrate to the government that you are commanding attention from all different parts of the world, I mean, that's stellar, right? It's prima facie evidence that you are in demand for your artistic services, right? To execute work in New York City, the arts capital of the world, but also to execute not only in New York City, but on behalf of international companies while you're located here. So super cool. Really interesting aspect about the O1. And yeah, to clarify that, I don't think I've ever done a live talking about like international work and what that looks like. There are also a lot of nuances that I did not talk about, and these nuances have to do, with culture, with people's comfort level when it comes to these types of agreements. When you're dealing with a U.S. based type of agreement and an international company, culturally things are different in other countries, so their expectations might be different, and that's also something that's important to manage throughout the O1 process, because again, they're committing in writing to want to work with you, and sometimes it's not necessarily going to align with the way they work in their home country. So a lot of nuances, but not anything that is not manageable, especially if you're working with an inexperienced attorney. So sorry I could not do the live during the day. I'll be at the office tomorrow. Now maybe we'll show you like contractors to show you the changes that we're making to our office. I love change. I think change is super important to keep you on your toes, but also to kind of like rejuvenate and refresh certain things about yourself. In my case, about the law firm, about the practice, and the way we want to practice law and deliver our services to our clients. So thank you for watching. I know it's late, but for those of you who are in Europe, it's early, and maybe this will illuminate your journey on the way to your O1. So I will talk to you tomorrow, and keep watching our videos. Subscribe to our videos so you can learn more about the O1 and learn more about business. Bye, everybody.